Hey everyone, and welcome back to Hoopers Nation, your top destination for NBA basketball content. The 2020 NBA Draft is right around the corner, and after the coronavirus pandemic robbed us from seeing the NBA stars of the future in action this year, we're all eager to find out where each one of the top prospects is headed. This year's draft is considered to be a relatively weak one compared to previous classes, but there's still a lot of potential and some very interesting prospects to develop. In this video, we'll grade the top 5 prospects in the 2020 NBA Draft and break down their games. But before we do, please make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more NBA content. Number 1. James Wiseman. Wiseman is really a hard guy to grade. Once considered the consensus best player in the class a bit over a year ago, Wiseman only appeared in 3 games for Memphis before receiving an 11-game suspension due to a legal scandal with the NCAA that was very close to making him ineligible. However, Wiseman decided to quit on his college team in the middle of his suspension and instead decided to continue preparing for the NBA draft on his own, a move that many questioned and currently has scouts very divided on his actual value. For starters, Wiseman has the physical tools of a monster. He stands at 7'1" and possesses a 7'6" wingspan that gives him some ridiculous length and reach. In the short time he was under the national spotlight, he showcased a nice touch near the rim and elite offensive rebounding skills. The last time we saw him, he also had a nice developing turnaround jumper and was expanding his range to the 15 feet area. The biggest question most teams and scouts have is whether he's improved after withdrawing from college, or if his lack of reps against other capable players has made his skill set stagnant. On the defensive end, he projects to be an elite paint defender with some really great shot blocking abilities. His speed and above-average lateral quickness is outstanding for his size, and he should be able to hang out with the quicker big man and contain the opposition in the perimeter when needed. His attitude is obviously a big concern given he quit on his collegiate team. He also had a hothead reputation dating back to high school, so we'll see how that impacts his stock. Overall, Wiseman is mostly a mystery to the general public, and his draft position will most probably come down to which team he impresses in private workouts. Had we graded Wiseman a year ago, he'd probably be an A or an A+. But now, there's not that clear of a floor or ceiling at this stage of his young career, which has clearly hurt his grade at only a B+. Number 2. Deni Avdija. Deni Avdija is the best international prospect and arguably the best small forward from the 2020 class. He can do it all on the court, and the fact that he has a couple years of professional experience playing in Europe works very much to his favor. He's a 19-year-old, 6'8" forward with the tools to be successful at the next level. But one of his biggest weaknesses is rather his short wingspan of 6'9", considering his size. Still, being raised in the European basketball system and his professional experience has him more NBA ready than most other prospects in the pool. Like many European players, Avdija has great court vision, especially for a 6'8" forward. He isn't a primary ball handler by any means, but can comfortably run the pick and roll to create looks for himself and his teammates. He isn't afraid of the big stage and is very competitive, something that works to his favor but also to his detriment as he can sometimes lose focus. He has a nice shooting stroke and an arsenal that includes step-backs and pull-ups from both the mid-range and three-point areas. His shooting can be inconsistent at times, but there's a lot of potential to develop him into a deadly shot creator. Avdija can finish at the rim, but it sometimes feels as if he's trying to avoid contact. He lacks the strength and athleticism to be a consistent scorer inside the paint, and perhaps his biggest area of improvement is bulking up without losing speed or mobility. Another big concern is his awful free throw shooting for a wing, as he doesn't even crack the 70% mark from the free throw line. Free throw shooting usually correlates with three-point shooting, so that's something to really keep an eye on. Finally, Avdija is a solid enough perimeter defender, not a stopper by any means, but he has good lateral quickness and when engaged can stay in front of anybody in the perimeter. His great body control when jumping to contest shots vertically is a big plus, but due to his lack of strength and thinner frame, he can't defend the bigger power forwards or any other bigs inside the paint. He has tons of potential and could become the great next point forward in the league, but he still has ways to go, which is why we're grading him B+. Number 3. LaMelo Ball. So LaMelo Ball. Grading this guy isn't easy, given there's a lot to factor in when considering everything the youngest Ball brother brings, and what he doesn't bring to the table. Ball has great size for a point guard. He's 6'6", maybe closer to 6'7", and has a 6'10" wingspan, which is quite impressive. The rest of his athletic profile isn't that exciting, as his lanky frame and strength are below average, even when compared against other point guards in his class. What makes him really stand out is his playmaking and scoring. Much like his two brothers, LaMelo has some really nice court vision and can pull off passes no other 19-year-old can. He's also a surprisingly complete scorer, as he uses his length to finish inside the paint and has some very deep range to shoot rainbow-like three-pointers. His shooting percentages immediately pop out for the wrong reasons when looked at without context. But if Ball gets smarter with his shot selection, he has the tools to continue being a high scorer, but with better efficiency at the next level. The one obvious big hole in his game lies on the defensive end. His length and wingspan have helped him not be totally abysmal, but once he starts defending NBA guards, his bad gambling for steals habits and undisciplined defense will probably become more apparent. Ball can be turnover prone at times due to his knack for playing a fast-paced game, but if paired with the right talent and with the right system, this could be used to his team's advantage. All in all, Ball has a really creative playstyle and a high IQ that few kids his age possess. And perhaps the ace under his sleeve, and something that makes him an even more intriguing prospect, he has professional basketball experience. He's also been used to playing against older brothers and bigger competition for his entire life, so it wouldn't be surprising to see him having an impact in the NBA right away immediately. Add in the fact he's also a media and fan favorite, so whichever team drafts him will get an added bonus of media attention and fan interest. All things considered, Ball can be labeled as an A- prospect. Number 4. Obi Toppin. Toppin was a relatively unknown player a bit over 1 year ago, and he was actually denied an invitation to the 2019 NBA Draft Combine. He redshirted his first collegiate season, and since then he's come a really long way. Toppin is the dream stretch 4 every NBA team wants today. He's a 22-year-old, 6'9" big man with a 7'2" wingspan that led the NCAA in dunks last season. He's strong enough to finish through contact, and a bunch of his dunks came off putbacks immediately after offensive rebounds. Given his size, he's a projected power forward, but he was a starting center for the Dayton Flyers, giving him some versatility and upside as a small ball center. What's most impressive is Toppin may be as good behind the three-point line as he is inside the paint. He made 39% of his threes this past season on high volume, mixing up catch-and-shoot looks with a few pull-up and step-back threes that makes us wonder how much better his shooting can get. He has very consistent shooting mechanics and a high release point, similar to the Minnesota Timberwolves' Karl-Anthony Towns. What makes Toppin so dangerous on the offensive end is he's a complete threat in the pick-and-roll or pick-and-pop games. He'll be just as lethal off the roll as he will be off the pop-and-shoot. He was a 20-plus points per game scorer in college, and it looks like his efficiency can translate into the NBA. The one part of his game that leaves a little to be desired is the defensive end. Even though he was the starting center, his rebounding was mediocre or at best average. He's a bit slow-footed, something that didn't present many problems when guarding other college centers in the paint, but he may struggle for a bit when forced to defend the perimeter or matched up against bigger centers in the league. He'd be the type of player to thrive in a system like the Golden State Warriors, who have multiple offensive weapons and make great defenses work with heavy switching and great help IQ. Toppin has, in fact, expressed a desire to play in Golden State, which has the number 2 pick in this year's draft. But it's unclear what the team plans on doing with their pick. Regardless of where he goes, Toppin should be a high-impact player at the next level and will be a top 10 pick for sure. The only reason he could slide down is he's older than most of the other prospects in the class at 22 years of age. His maturity and ultra-high floor make him one of the safest picks in this year's draft, which is why he's getting an A-. Number 5. Anthony Edwards. Arguably the most complete prospect in this year's class, Anthony Edwards is a very exciting future NBA star. A 6'5" guard with a 6'9" wingspan, Edwards projects as a two-way menace once he makes the jump into the NBA. And speaking about jumping, Edwards is in fact the most comfortable when driving to the paint and finishing through traffic. His elite athleticism, but especially his strength for a guard, is a key aspect of his game. He has some very good body control and an ultra-quick first step. Edwards is a solid enough shooter, but this is the part of his game that clearly needs the most work. He has a sweet stroke and release that with more reps and experience should continue to get better. It's as if his own stubbornness held him back to an extent in his lone college season, as he settled for way too many deep shots despite usually getting very formidable results as a slasher. Edwards also has the potential to be a lockdown defender thanks to his combination of size and length, but he isn't always locked in on the defensive end. There isn't much else to say other than he's the best all-around prospect in the draft, and his game fits well on pretty much any of the top 3 selecting teams. It'll be hard to see him slide below the 3rd pick, as his skills and his potential combine for a grade of an A. Do you agree with our grades? Who do you think will go number 1 in this year's NBA draft? Make sure to comment your thoughts down below, as well as leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.